Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this Etheria restart video. So for today's video, we're going to run through which unit you should go for the targeted summon and discuss about which unit can actually give you the best progression or generally more versatility in terms of the targeted summon itself. So this one allows you to guarantee the animals that you choose from this banner right here, and you will be able to summon all these units. You will not be able to summon all the light and dark units because they are in the extra affinity summon, so no Hendrich, no Doki Doki, no Lily, and no Masaya also. So there are, you won't get Sanya as well. So all these light and dark units, at least the SSR ones, they're not available from the targeted summon. But I think some of these units, they are pretty meta. They are really strong as well. So we'll talk about them and discuss about who you should skip. Okay, so starting off, who should you skip? One, Lingluo. This lady over here, you will be able to get her from the 7-day lock-in. So just right here, the moment you log into the game, you should be able to see this let's see, 7-day commissions, right? So you will be able to obtain her after 7 days. So yeah, just don't put her on the banner because you don't want double copies of her unless you are in love with her and you want to build her up for the duplicate copy side. So Lingluo skippable. I think Rahu skippable. Very niche character. Same thing for Lilith. Lilith is more PvP centric, so like from a progression angle, I think she's a little bit too niche. Her control is actually pretty decent, the mischief ability really good, but against the bossing contents in general, you can't actually control the boss against most of them. Like the only thing that works against most bosses will be taunt, so Lilith will be greatly reduced in efficiency for those type of progress pushing, right? So I don't recommend like you guys to go for her. Like unless you want to like have fun in your RTA contents, you want to have fun in your normal PvP contents, in your AI PvP contents, I think you can, right? She's quite strong there, but I wouldn't recommend that like from progression angle. Rahu is very niche to a more full defensive setup, and I'll say this is a more late game character, so also not recommended. Like I think in general you have much better options that does what he does better, at least from a progression angle, unless you are thinking about late game, thinking about specific team types, then that's where you can consider him. But if you are to sort of choose your starting character for your content pushing itself, I don't recommend Rahu. Celine's as well. Celine's is, I think she's just pretty mid because like there are a lot of good healers supports there in the 4-star category. In the 5-star, you're getting Lingluo. You're also like have some really good speed control unit with some buffs, with some like heal over time, and there's also quite a bit of shell support in terms of sustain. So Celine's is not the best shooter in what she does, and her debuff is a little bit RNG based, and obviously you won't want to waste your like targeted SSR summon for a healer support in most cases, so I wouldn't recommend her. So if you're talking about like healing support in general, Mia's another dispel healer support which I actually reviewed yesterday, also not recommended for the same reason about Celine's. Like I don't think you should waste your SSR summon on a healer support because you get Lingluo. Number one is you'll get Lingluo. Number two, there are a lot of really amazing 4-star options as well. So like that's for my thoughts about Mia, Lingluo, Rahu, as well as Celine's and Lilith. Okay, so for the carry portion, unfortunately, I think Chloros is okay, but like I guess first of all we're getting Lian, right? So you can definitely just play Lian at just the base copy, and you should still do really well in the progression side. So you can do Lian and Hellkit. Hellkit is still pretty versatile because short barrier, right, which is ability to prevent debuff from the enemy, is just really good. If he's able to get the short barrier off to protect from the debuff against the enemy team, it is quite a good defensive boost for your team in general. So Hellkit is okay, but Claws as a damage dealer specifically for the red faction is not, I'll say, like desirable, because you have other options, like for example Lian. You also have some 4-star options from the red faction, such as Dina, which is generally versatile and usable as well. So I wouldn't recommend Chloros, although he's quite a decent DPS, right? Follow-up damage as well as quite a bit of damage boost. So there's that, but I wouldn't recommend him. Veronica's really niche. This unit is niche to counter buffing teams because her ability, or the main part of her ability, is to steal the buffs from the enemy and then use it as a whole and then just do a lot of damage from there. So that's that, very niche. So for the red color one, I'll recommend Beyontin for the buffing capabilities that she's able to offer. So let's say if you reroll or your gacha luck steers more towards the carry side, you're some of the best carry characters that you get from your reroll or your initial rolls itself, then the targeted animals can either be Beyontin, or right, Tsukuyomi right here. So Beyontin and Tsukuyomi, they are, I'll say, like really good buffing units. Like for example, if you are rerolling for Doki Doki and Lily, then Tsukuyomi is a unit which you can skip, cause like having 2 speed buff is not going to make your whole team faster because you can only have 1 of each type of the buff. Tsukuyomi is able to buff attack as well as speed with the ability to silence the opponent, so quite a good speed control unit. Much lower than Lily, but I think if you are not able to get Lily, or your like initial rolls steers towards the carries itself instead of your speed control or your support, then Tsukuyomi is a decent option right here. Beyontin is more for the damage buff, so I'm just going to run through Beyontin a bit because I use her a lot, especially with content pushing, because Beyontin is a character which offers not just buffs. Beyontin is able to give you the revive, and Beyontin is able to protect herself better with the underworld flower right here. She's able to reduce damage on herself, which means that she's quite tanky if she's able to get her Karma Abyss off, and you get this universal crit damage boost with an attack boost which can fit into multiple different teams to clear through contents faster. She even has a cooldown reduction as well as a bonus turn for your ally. Very, very good for certain contents where you need to use this skill onto your carry to push for the final damage to clear within certain time frames. So I think generally speaking, this unit is not like the best of the pack as a buffer, because like usually for your real-time contents or your speed related contents, you obviously want the likes of Doki Doki as well as Lily, but as a damage buffer, right, I think Beyontin does her job amazingly, and I think in terms of just pushing contents, why Beyontin is a lot better, because those damage boosts is going to give you more oomph in terms of your push. And then for our Tsukuyomi is I'll say it's a good unit that can steer towards PvP because she has a silence. Silence is a lot better for PvP. So that's for Tsukuyomi and Beyontin. Mia is a healer, like I mentioned, not that recommended. Shiada is a very buff-centric carry, but I think, I don't know, I personally don't think you should actually go for Shiada, because like buff, there are a lot of ways to deal with buffs. There are Dispel, and I think Shiada is pretty linear in terms of gameplay. And there are a lot of more bursty units that are, I'll say, like much better as a carry. So in fact, the 2 of them, they are the next 2, Bochne as well as Rosa. So Shiada is a unit that actually scales a lot better with time because of her ability to get more stats with her second skill. So Shiada over here has a passive that gets more attack as well as crit damage with more buffs on her. But in order for you to get the buffs on her, you need some turns to actually buff her up in order for her to scale. So obviously she's really strong if you get like multiple stacks on her, and then you get maximum damage buff of the skill, and then you just spam your AoE as well as single target skill. But then like I think from a progression angle, not exactly the best unit I'll recommend. Okay, Shiada's a good unit, don't get me wrong, but I think if you were to talk about it as a progression unit, there are other units which are more versatile and just pretty strong from the early, mid to late game. So Bochne as well as Rosa, insanely powerful from early to mid to late. Tiamat as well. So these 3 blue characters, first of all, why Shiada not recommended? Because these 3 blue characters, they're just a lot better as carry. Tiamat is a HP percentage based carry, so you build HP on her for her to output maximum damage. So HP is one of the easiest stat to build up because you're able to farm for the HP based equipments in the very first boss, Termaton, so very, very easy access there. And Tiamat is flexible, right, in terms of the build later on. So she's a very good early game, very good mid game, very good late game carry across all the different game modes. For Bochne and Rosa, Rosa has a crit damage buff with follow-up damage which just hits super duper hard. I already showcased her in the Rosa crit damage boost, and it's insane. Crit rate as well as crit damage, they're the most universal buff you can give for your damage centric teams. So generally speaking, Rosa is very universal in terms of team builds, in terms of buffing for the team as well. Bochne is a unit which is super easy to build because his second skill, let's just run through it a little briefly. For Bochne's second skill, right, this unit converts a portion of his attack or converts his attack into HP percentage. So what this means is that he is pretty easy to build as well. Just build full attack on this character and you should have a decently easy time in pushing contents. And this unit has AoE with quite a fair bit of damage, decent HP numbers from the boost of the Nightbane over here, and generally versatile, right? So yesterday I discussed about him not being as good in the PvP as we move later into the game, but it doesn't matter, right, in terms of progression, because his damage is there. He's able to be built up easily, and he's able to give you that easy time to get to the end game. So you can worry about the end game later, but in the early to mid game, I think Bochne is an easy to build, really powerful carry with pretty decent stats to boot. So that's for Bochne. And then for Rosa, let's just run through her kit briefly. Very, very powerful unit. So like, this unit has a AoE that is able to charge up crit for the whole team, speed control your enemy, and then deal a whole bunch of damage, and then able to do a whole bunch of follow-up damage with the stalker ability as well as the normal attack. So yeah, this unit has turned out to be insanely versatile as well, based on all the different records. And like I mentioned earlier, crit damage, crit hit, they are the more universal damage type buff. You can fit them into, for example, a HP base with Tiamat as a carry. So Tiamat is a HP percentage based carry that deals damage based off her HP. So like, you can't actually buff her attack and expect her DPS to increase, but you can buff her crit or her crit damage, and then you'll see her DPS increase as well. So that's for Tiamat. And then let's go into the last few units. So Lingluo Dan, Remocha is kind of niche. I personally think that all the green units, they are either really niche, or I think you have better options in other categories. Remocha is a unit which I think does fantastic AoE damage towards the late game as you build her up, because her ultimate Candy Cannon ability is able to do damage and then spread 70% to the surrounding enemy. If you're able to kill the enemy, that damage changes from 70% to 100%. So the more damage she's able to do, the more impact she has off the AoE ultimate. But I think Remocha's more late game centric. I guess you can use her if you're not building up your 4-star green character right here. So a really good 4-star Animus in what's the name for the green character, for the holo category, right? This guy over here, yeah, Grey. This character is a free to play character that joins you at the start of the game, and this character is insanely decent in terms of usage, because you can see he has a crit rate boost, very universal buff for the whole team, has a very simple defense down with damage output, AoE coverage as well. So if let's say you are playing the game from an angle where you are very tight on resources, then you can develop Grey, and then for the green angle, you don't go for the carries from the animal slot. So that's why I don't recommend Remocha, because of these few reasons. Last but not least, Claws. Claws is a speed control unit, but different from Lily, different from Doki Doki, different from Tsukuyomi. Claws debuffs the enemy to give you speed control. Her whole kit is about speed control, turn steal, and I think she's okay if you have all your whole package up, but like, I think as a standalone unit also pretty weak, cause like debuff can be resisted, number one, and despite her being one of the fastest characters, she also is pretty frail based on my previous testing with her. I used her in my very first CBT, and yeah, I think if you're rolling for like the very standard duo or trio in terms of like all these characters right here, then I think Claws is skippable. Yeah, so that's for the different units you can summon from the targeted summon right here. Generally speaking, most of the greens are skippable. I guess Illilith for RTA contents, for PvP contents, very strong unit. Remocha, certain niches and pretty okay AoE, but then like I from a progression angle, I wouldn't recommend her. If not, Hellkit's okay. Obviously he got nerfed, but still really good. Beyondin's okay as well, as a buffer, as like revive, as a support for the team. DPS wise, Tiamat, Rosa as well, Bochne, insanely powerful overall. Personally, I would prefer Tiamat, because I think Tiamat is a lot easier to sort of build up for the gearing side, at least as a damage dealer, and you can actually gear her differently later on. So like, yeah, there's a lot of versatility in her in terms of the build you can use. Like, for example, personally, I actually built my Tiamat more towards the PvP side on this account, and then I built full effect resistance with defense, because the HP is enough for her damage output, and I just need that effect resistance to prevent her from being controlled. So that's why I built her this way. And then you can obviously choose the main stats of your cores to be HP percentage, right, for her to do damage. So very flexible character in terms of the different combos you can go with her. Very powerful as well, and has AoE coverage with shielding and taunting, which is generally usable across different game modes. So that's it. Most of the time, I'll say Tiamat topmost priority. If not, the blue color carries also pretty decent. And if you have all the carries that I mentioned already locked in, you already gadget them, then you can go for the supports like Beyondin as well as Tsukuyomi for your control. Healers wise, you have better options elsewhere and you're getting Linglo for free, so I don't recommend them. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do remember to like and subscribe to see more. I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.